Incoming message.
The first thing that comes to mind is you getting cloned, bro. It ain't. If you start giving your blood up to people, there's gonna be another you somewhere roaming the streets, and it ain't gonna be you, right?
You might need some extra parts back in there,
They
man.
making another you.
What if they got another Jones? You get a whole nother leg out there,
when
bro.
they clone Jones, just know that it's a wrap. You get what I'm saying? The zombie apocalypse will shortly follow after it. What's going on, fam? This is KR Jones of the Off the Strength podcast, and I am here to tell you to like, listen, subscribe, and if you're feeling freaky, visit offthestrength.com. That's where you can go and get more information on us. That's where we can link, we can build, we can connect, and let's make this thing work.
So last time we connected, man, we talked a little bit about the hygienically challenged individuals out there, man, in the gym. This week, Kyle, I was pissed off by a whole nother set. I'm talking about the flagrant noisemakers and everybody in them subcategories down there, bro. You're leading the pony over there, Jones. You need to pump your brakes, my friend.
That's how the noises come out.
First group that I want to talk about is going to be the excessive off-key singers. You know who I'm talking about. Big headphones.
For sure.
They can't carry a tune to save their damn life and don't know none of the words to a song.
It'd always be the ballad, for sure.
And they be committed to the, and I'm telling you,
I'm not go nowhere.
they be in the cardio section doing all kind of stuff that's just unnecessary to get their workout on.
They call me USHER.
So that's how you've been giving it up. You and your buddy Jim, huh?
Listen, now again, Jim was a member at the Knox back in the day, and he used to do dance cardio on the treadmill, right? So I'm talking full on, like, imagine Soul Cycle, but on a treadmill, right? Like all the little hip dips, the forward and back, the jump stop, like, fam, he was giving you the routine.
Yeah, you and Jim got a little too much dip on your chip, son. I don't want none of that inside my gym, all right? We're going to skip past him.
Get it how you live.
Them off-key singers, and we're going to go into the excessive grunters, Kyle. That's what we're talking about. You know the type, not as a motorbike, but won't bust a crate in a fruit fight. I'm talking about everybody out there, they ain't doing all the extras for the weight that don't justify none of that weight.
Yeah, for sure.
The warm-up set sound just like the last set that you're doing. It's insane. You don't need to go through all of that.
I have a client that I won't name names.
Yeah.
But he does have an excessive moan when work gets a little too tight.
Now,
You know
this
what I'm saying?
is the last subcategory that I wanted to get into.
I'm just letting you know, yeah, the moaners.
I have the sexual noisemakers, a.k.a. the moaners. They giving up a lot of filthy game. I've had a few people.
Remember the Avant? I can read your mind. This nigga moaned on the track. I know you know what I'm talking about. We let him get that off on the song.
The Keith Stanfield shit, when he was doing that on live or whatever. Yo, there's people that work out and they make straight up sex noises during the workout. I've had clients, myself, of both sexes in the past that I'm trying to tell you that was making noises at the inappropriate times.
Yep.
And I feel like I know what they was doing. They was letting everybody know what they was working with.
It was a mating call.
Exactly.
It was a feather show.
A little peacocking, man.
I'm here to carry the one for you. When you have a client that's making those type of noises, now that's associated with the both of y'all. Y'all both make those noises now. It's not just them no more. It's like,
It's y'all.
You allow
That's
that
how y'all
shit.
give it up.
That's what y'all like to do. It's like, fam, tighten up, fly right. I don't want to hear it.
What's good, everybody? What's good? Welcome back to yet another episode of Off the Strength, where we give you the inside look into all things wellness culture. I'm a trainer called Tony, and of course with me, I got a gentleman of extraordinary league.
KR Jones is in the building.
That's right, folks. We are back. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of all time from near and far, you are now in store for a treat because it's the return of the variety show. That's when we give you our best foot forward. So hopefully you take your best foot forward. You do that two-step, that tango, whatever it is you need to do to make it on through the week with the best goddamn wellness information available.
Yeah.
Brother Jones.
What's the word?
How are you feeling this week, my friend?
Man, I am feeling pretty damn great, bro. To be real, I've been teaching classes a lot more frequently ever since I added the roll up and roll out on Wednesday nights, in addition to my elevated yoga class, I've been seeing a lot more of the community.
Okay.
Especially as it's been getting warmer out. The temperature, spring still ain't quite sprung just yet. Mm-hmm. But we getting remnants of what that warm weather feel like in a little sunbathing, so to speak. So I've had the opportunity to be amongst folks that I genuinely want to be around and want to be around me, as well as pick up some new clients, man. It's been one of those things where like, all right, the ball is rolling. We're going to see where this energy goes, but the blossoming and blooming of it all is taking place.
I like to hear that you're blossoming and blooming, and I hope that you cherish that energy, my friend, and take it as far as it needs to go for you, brother.
My man, how about you, man? Tell us about your week.
My week has been pretty booked, Kyle, and I think it starts off with even our last episode that we recorded, that booked and busy damn 420. I don't know if we talked about it fully, but I was on the move the whole damn day.
Yes, sir.
My man, starting off riding out with the social cycling group, riding here to the studio at the Block of the Rock live at Newsstand Studio from all the way out in Brooklyn, then coming back in, catching up with my brother K.R. Jones himself on 420, and it's us riding throughout, getting back into actually Prospect Park area. So we covered a lot of ground, touched down with Con Bud and Con Body. Sorry, and they celebrating them at their brand new opening over there. So it was a lot happening just in that one day. It was all over the place, but it was a celebration, if you will. Kyle, what's your thoughts on that? You remember that day?
That was a glorious day, man. And to double down on that, I know you was out early. I had my usual elevated class. And shout out to Emily. Emily is the founder of The Layout, which, I will say it feels great when people organically come into your space. Mm-hmm. She came through the recommendation of friends of hers, mm-hmm. and she holds space for a lot of people. So it felt great to be able to hold space for someone who does that same work for others. And to just build on top of that day, man, the weather was right. He was out. I was in the streets. Anytime you get some free weed, shout out to the homie Tank who blessed us with the little loud.
Shout out to Tank.
The little loud Pacquiao, if
I don't know
will.
if he blessed us.
He blessed me.
There
I got something for you.
Transverse Properties. He blessed us.
Now,
Thanks, Tank.
it was a little pack of J's. They were called dog walkers. You know what I'm saying? You typically take a
short walk for the dog. I get you.
You spoke on what that was like. Now, me being the person that I am, I thought they was light because it was a little joint. I was like, oh, this is fine. This is cute. When I tell you I overslept every day, I had one of those because that shit was that good. I was like, all right, bet. It was an indica too. There's
levels to this game. Once you go into the dispensary game, you're not dealing with the Reginald anymore.
I realized that. I was like, this ain't the normal Reggie Bush, the regular weeds that I be having. This is elevated private stash.
They've gotten you into a different level of life. And understanding a different level of life, Kyle, is something that I was also reflecting on this week, man. I've been doing a lot of reading, been doing a lot of intentional listening. I've been going back through some of the courses that I've taken this year, because I did say at the top of the year that I really wanted to be dedicated to learning as much as I can and applying that knowledge, man. So going back through some of the books and, just really trying to be locked in on where I'm trying to go in the next route, man. I came across a thought that I wanted to share in this week's Ask the Professional segment, man.
Go ahead and lay it out, man.
So this thought came to me, Brother Jones, and I think it was one of my audiobooks that I was listening to, something along the lines of, just because you're on the right path doesn't mean it won't come with obstacles.
Okay.
Heard that phrase thrown out there, and it kind of started stumbling in my mind a little bit. It was like, damn, just because you're on the right path doesn't mean it won't come with any obstacles. I wanted to ask you this week as a professional, Kyle, what are some of the obstacles that you had to overcome on your path to becoming the wellness professional that you are today?
Wow, man, that's a great question. When I start to think about the obstacles in life, they often aren't necessarily very difficult to identify. Mm-hmm. It could be something as simple as like family stuff that's happened. Like immediately it takes me to when I graduated college. When I graduated and I was looking for a job, it was like, all right, I can move back to Baltimore, back with my moms and pursue wellness opportunities there, or I can stay here in New York and figure it out. And me staying in New York and figuring it out had to be about, let's say, about a 6-month kind of window to plan out how this was going to happen. So amongst that, figuring things like that out, like where am I going to live, where am I going to stay, how am I going to make money, right? If I'm thinking about professionally, as you get into training, obstacles can be your skill set, right? Like there's a lot of things that I would like to offer that I'm not qualified to do. I might be freshly certified in it, so to speak. Even as far as aspirational goals within the workplace, right? I want to make this kind of money. I want to contribute these kind of things. And the level that I'm at is not a level where that is an offering for somebody. That's not accepted. That's not the way that it is, right? You trying to have a sweet level conversation and you work in the front desk. You get what I mean? Like, so there's been a lot of obstacles on the way. Going to end the long-winded rant with just saying, when you do approach that obstacle, it's less about the difficulty of it and more about the decision, the decisiveness you have once you approach it. It almost tests you in a way, right? Like it's going to bring something out of you that is either going to allow you to persevere, as you like to say a lot, or it's either going to hold you back a little bit. And when you identify which one it is, and you can start to cultivate a plan to like navigate it, right? Like, all right, I'm either going to have to go back the way that I did this and try again, or I'm going to have to, take that Batman jump without the string anymore. Whatever this case is, like you're going to have to just face it head on.
Face everything.
And run.
No.
Oh, my bad.
We're not supposed to run. We're supposed to overcome, Kyle. We got to put it on the right side.
You can overcome while you're running.
Okay. I could feel that, man. Nah, in all honesty, you brought up something that gave me the connotation of accountability. Right. And one of the obstacles trying to overcome some of the things that held me back personally was understanding different relationships with accountability. Now, being able to not only appreciate when you're wrong, but take the lesson from how you were wrong and apply that to where you want to go in the future is something that I say I can definitely identify different phases of my life where I wasn't able to see that. You get into the mode where you're feeling like if you could identify a bunch of stuff not going the way that you want it to go, and you're not able to ever point your finger back at yourself, I think you start to run into a little bit of trouble. So even in the worst cases of scenario, if you could find some place that you can grab onto some accountability, you have at least a pathway into how you can kind of change what the future tenses can be. That's one aspect of it. And then the last aspect, I'll say briefly, we always talk about the ideas around value, understanding it as a complete thought and as something that's also having to deal with or an exchange of currency. So meaning I am valuable minus or without any of the other external things just because I exist. That is my own value. And then understanding where value can come into play where I'm negotiating a service or a good that I'm providing for that. In the early days, value was so tied to that whole idea of meritocracy, where it's just kind of like, I work this hard, I should get this, I should be this. I'm always doing this compare and contrast, competition kind of, I would say athlete type of brain, where it's like, if I work hard, I'm going to get this. This is the result. It's linear.
Study hard.
This is how it progresses.
I work even harder.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that.
And,
why is it not happening?
Everything in the 90s is always about that overwork. Like, let's get this, show up earlier.
It was hustle culture.
Put some shots up earlier.
Yeah.
Do more. And that's not always effective thinking.
No.
So in that, something gets denatured about value when you keep putting that effort in and you don't see the result that you want. So I really had to overcome some of those limiting beliefs to be able to admit when I was wrong in any of those cases and be able to move forward in a progressive sense, man.
Just to add before we clip it, man, it's not necessarily the weight that hurts you or breaks you down, but it's how you carry it, right? Mm-hmm. Much like when you're lifting in the gym, a lot of people like to hang their hat on the numbers that they reach, but can you control it? And I think when you get into the control, that allows you to then really see where your skill set is, brother.
Yeah, man. Okay, Brother Jones, that's going to be it for this week's Ask the Professionals. And Kyle, I got some things that I want to get into next, and we're going to talk about some control and maybe what you should and should not be doing in this next segment, my brother. It's time for some good.
Okay.
It's going to be time for some bad.
All right.
And it's going to be time for some ugly in this week's episode of Rip from the Headlines. And Brother Jones, I'm coming in hot from Daily Mail, Kyle.
Daily Mail.
Now, Jones, I don't know.
Mail.
That's how you feeling?
Oh, yeah. You never seen Blue's Clues. My bad. You missed out on that.
I've definitely seen Blue's Clues.
Okay.
It was for my younger brother. Shout out to Conservative Dan out there. I never watched it myself, but yes, I definitely remember
Steve got a crazy house in Brooklyn that he was selling on Architecture Digest. It's completely different off topic, but continue.
I like how you keep your finger on the pulse, Jones.
Every time, bro.
That's an interesting thing. But this week, we're going to leave Steve and all Steve's clues alone, and I want to get into understanding what Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson was doing this week, Kyle.
You talking about DJ?
I'm talking about DJ himself. Now, Kyle, I don't know if you saw any of the news that he was stirring up this week, but Kyle, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson fans are a little confused this week after The Rock releases a men's shampoo.
What?
In spite of him having no hair.
So you're telling bald head lies, much like Michael Jordan is what I'm hearing.
The 51-year-old released a skincare and hair care line last month that people on the web are a little confused about.
I'd say the least.
Many are trying to understand how he's fit for the job since, to your point, he has no hair. So what's your thoughts about The Rock releasing this hair care line? And mind you, Kyle, he is somebody who is in the coalition of the willing, that lifting force. He's in the gym all the time. Let him know how you feel. K.R. Jones. Space from anybody else. This is what K.R. Jones
You shut your jabroni ass up when you talk about The Rock, because it doesn't matter, Tone.
He said it didn't matter. He's going to sell that shit anyway.
Now, faithful listeners of the show will know that I am a wrestling fan. That is my first introduction into Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and the Brahma Bull, the People's Eyebrow, the Elbow, all that jazz. No, I do not want no shampoo from this man, because he has never had hair ever since I've known him in all of my life.
That's not true. He had the high top fade way back in the day.
When he was dressed like a lesbian for Halloween. With the turtleneck and the fanny pack, that is a costume that people often like to replicate. And even then, he was pushed back. Like, that was it. He didn't even look like he shampooed on the regular. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not buying what he's selling just because of his name. Now, if we're talking tequila, if you want to send some Hermano over this way, now me Hermano, you know what I'm saying? We can do that.
Papa Tui.
Nope.
Is the brand that he is pushing, Kyle.
He's selling culture.
Now, what I have
He's
to
selling
salute.
Samoan culture.
Did you know, Kyle, that many men, one of the things that they are searching for in their wellness categories.
Thought you was about to get in the 50 bag. They
wish death upon me? No, they don't wish death upon me, but many men are searching for specific routines about skincare and hair care products.
100%.
So I have to see this. And I have to dream even bigger, Kyle. That's why when my beard balm comes out next week.
Samoan Soul Glow. That's what this is. I don't want no parts. And that's why I stopped you talking about a beard balm. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get struck by lightning.
If he could come out.
You keep on capping like this.
If a bald-headed man can sell shampoo, don't clip my wings, damn it.
Say less.
My beard balm is coming out next week.
You got it, bro.
Off the face.
I'm going to start selling, nose septum piercings. Just because I don't have one,
into it.
But I want y'all to have one, and that's just how I feel about it.
And that's how you got to elevate men's skincare, bro. You got to let everybody know what's going on, man. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to shift out of that. I'm going to get into some different news, okay? We're going to go a little bit more medical news. Kyle, now, when you walk inside the different buildings, a lot of people tend to avoid climbing the stairs. This is people that are always looking for the elevator, the shortcut to get into life, right? But did you know that climbing the stairs may improve heart health and promote longevity? Specifically, up to 39% of the comorbidities and comortalities that you would typically have from not doing your day-to-day minimum daily activity, right? 39% of those can be decreased by people who choose to take the stairs as opposed to using something like the escalator or the elevator. They say that stair climbing likely has these benefits because it combines both the strength training and the cardiovascular training at the same time. But more study is needed to actually get to the full conclusion as to why this works. What's your thoughts about taking the stairs, or you taking that elevator up to success, my man?
I live in Brooklyn.
Okay.
In Bedford-Stuyvesant.
Nope.
I say the whole thing because I pay too much to abbreviate it. I don't live in Bed-Stuy, Tony. I live in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn.
Do or dine.
With that being said, there's no real estate. Everybody's on top of each other. You don't live wide, you live up. I live on a 4-floor walk-up, which is really like 8 floors because it's an old building. I take the stairs every day, whether I want to or not. It ain't no in between. It ain't no, hey, we got this, ADA accessible way for you to get upstairs. I hit them every day. And as someone who tore their Achilles and did not get surgery, I promise you it helped.
Okay.
Because it forced me to have to walk up and down. I will double down and not only say take the stairs, but if you drive and you live in a space where walking isn't really the thing to do, park further away from wherever it is that you're going. I used to preach that to my moms a lot. Like, yo, if you got to go to Target, you don't got to park close. Park as far away as you can. Your car going to be safe. Ain't nobody going to hit it. And you get that extra walk-in, right? Like, shout out to Troy. Find those opportunities to move, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you do that, you're adding wellness to your lifestyle. And it's outside of the gym. So make it count.
There we go. Making your next move your best move, Kyle.
You're goddamn right.
That's exactly what we want to talk about as we continue to push forward these people to understand how we can close this health gap, man. I definitely need that, And the next thing, Kyle, something that I don't think I needed, but, it raised a couple eyebrows in my sector. I definitely like a fancy gym, but there's got to come within limits. I will make every type of sacrifice that I can to afford a higher level gym because, as we discussed before, that higher level price tag comes with a certain level of people that cannot be in the gym that kind of perturbed me, much like how we opened up the show.
Yes.
You get a little bit better crop, let's say. But did you know?
Okay.
In New York Magazine this week talked about a brand new club that's coming out with a $10,000 a month membership, Kyle.
A gym?
A gym. Continuum Club boasts that their $10,000 a month wellness membership is going to be the key to you getting the optimal results that you need. That's because they combine what they're calling their human performance specialists. These are going to be trainers who study your blood, and they come in and their primary objective is to get you to utilize every aspect that science has given them to get you to optimal results. What are you feeling about Continuum Club, pushing the line, giving you damn near doctors to get you that $10,000 a month price tag to get you into the best possible shape of your life?
I hear that. The first thing that comes to mind is you getting cloned, bro. It ain't, if you start giving your blood up to people, there's going to be another you somewhere roaming the streets, and it ain't going to be you, right?
You might need some extra parts back in there,
They
man.
making another you.
What if they got another Jones? You get a whole nother leg out there,
when
bro.
When they clone Jones, just know that it's a wrap. You get what I'm saying? The zombie apocalypse will shortly follow afterwards, But, I mean, we talking 10, right?
10 racks.
That's a brick.
120
if
a year
will.
for
You
the
know
gym.
what I'm saying? When we paid $10,000, right? How long is this turnaround supposed to be? Because if we're talking weight loss, scientifically, you're supposed to lose a pound a week. Let's say I want to lose 30 pounds. Better yet, let's say 50 because I've been living a little. That's going to take a year. So it's going to take me $120,000 to get right, which doesn't sound too bad. That could be a nice down payment on a home if you take that into like a LeBron James who invests over $1 million.
So that's what they're saying their benefit is. It's kind of giving, it's not that is a high price tag. They're saying it's more accessible for you to get the prime time, like high end athlete treatment. $10,000 is a drop in the bucket compared to what they would spend for similar testing. So,
but LeBron James, although he might be going home in the first round, this is his job effectively to do that. To just live on a day-to-day, that seems like a bit of a steep jump to invest into.
I told you, some people are really putting money into not aging at all. This is where it's starting to go. It's getting closer and closer to being a reality.
If you are willing to pay $10,000, I'm KR Jones. I am a human health specialist.
Okay.
I do it. I do it for you for $7,500. You know what I'm saying? Just come holler at me. I give you everything that they give you and more.
Yeah, I need you to shoot one of those commercials like your homeboy that was selling the cars down in Baltimore. You need to do that for your discount prices.
You know it. It's on the way. I got a video in the tuck. I'm going to go and hit the folks with.
There we go. Last but not least, Kyle. I'm going to get up out of here after this story, but this is a story that I've been keeping my eye on particularly.
Both eyes.
Because of wellness travel. Now, we've talked about wellness travel for many an episode.
GP, are you with me?
No, GP is not here.
Okay.
But let me tell you, Kyle, that at the top end of this year, the wellness industry has predicted that travel sector of wellness is going to, in the next 3 years, hit about $1.4 trillion in that sector of the industry alone. right?
Okay.
Making it one of the fastest growing sectors. Now, Kyle, there's a new trend that's taken over in these wellness spaces that is growing even faster than what we push with the bridal wellness parties.
Okay.
Do you know what that trend is, Kyle?
I do not.
People are screaming for sexual wellness programming inside of their wellness destination
You mean
retreat.
some sexual healing is what I'm hearing.
Well, sexual healing is on the menu, Kyle. Apparently, optimizing your intimacy is a thing that people really are looking for and is starting to gain traction. Now, there's different types of sexual wellness programming that's coming out, but this is an article from CNN that's talking about all of the different varieties of sexual wellness programming coming in. People want to relax a little differently on these wellness vacations, man. They want to go out, rekindle the flame.
They want to bust a nut, Tone.
What's your thoughts on sexual programming
Bust a nut.
inside of the wellness industry being something that is taking off?
It sounds like high-level prostitution, Tone.
I don't think it's prostitution related.
Well, it's sex work if you really break it down.
I don't think it's sex work related either.
I do. You paying to have a sexual experience away.
No, you're not.
Okay. Maybe I heard. That's what I heard. Gil, go ahead and stretch it out again. One more time.
So there's optimizing coaches that can help teach you different levels of tactics that you can use to make your sexual experiences more robust.
So somebody's going to teach me how to improve my sexual experience, make it more robust without me having sex with them?
Yes, you're not having sex with them. You can bring your partners, and there's educators that help teach these couples how to have better experiences in life.
I'm still not seeing how this is not a category on X videos or Pornhub or whatever your search engine is that you like to use. Like, it's sex therapy where y'all going to fuck each other at the end of the day.
They say students can practice their skills while they go back to their hotel rooms, but the co-ed classes are taught by teachers who are really just trying to get you to be more in touch with your own body so that you can understand your partner's body a little bit differently. Kyle, in these classes, how much would you think that some of these classes are going for?
Well, if it costs $10,000, you know what I'm saying, 10 bands to take
go
care
to that
of
other
yourself.
gym. That's at the other gym. That's not this gym.
I know this not at that gym, so I'm gonna say this is gonna run you about a flat $4,500.
So these classes are up to $200 a session, and any sessions could go for the length of your trip.
But
so
if I want to stay for a week, you get what I'm saying, and it's
That's
$200
every
per
class.
person, or is
per person.
So that's $400. And then you carry the 4 to the 5.
You starting to sound real Foxy Brown with the math, but I'm trying to tell you that sexual health needs to be on the menu.
That's 2 bands for a week. It's a 2-week vacation. We have 4. That's not even including flight and airfare. And I know they're not feeding your ass. So I said it. It was right. About $45 a piece.
Intimacy Moons is one of the faster tracking courses that's taking off.
Put that much into your partner, you might as well cheat at that point, fam. Like, for real, it's going to cost you much less.
And the Back to the Body retreat.
If you just go and, what they call them, passport bros, you know what I'm talking
is
about.
also something that people
go south of
are
the border, get
really
strange for a little
enjoying.
piece of change.
You need to do the work, Kyle, is really the thing that you need to come down to. Understanding that for you to get better opportunities in wellness, maybe you have to diversify with some of your definitions. Oh, man, because the appetites are not being met and people are looking for different things. That's going to be it for my week of recap and Rip from the Headlines. Kyle, what did you see on your side of the internets?
That was a lot.
Just trying to tell you, the people looking for sex and travel, man.
We talk about loneliness a lot, so I guess that's really what it comes down to. Now, Brother Tone, I have had a hard time finding some good this week.
Okay.
Like, it really has been a struggle, and I don't know how long it's going to be that. So the only good that I found really this week, to start off with, would be, are you up on the trends of people dubbing over videos to sell other things?
No.
So there's been this trend online where, like, people will take a clip of something violent and then it immediately goes into whatever the sale is. This in particular might have been a wellness sale, but it was a dude getting, kicked in the head. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like
it's a chiropractor's office that's using a cut scene. So the cut scene is coming from a kickboxing match, and the guy's getting knocked out by the discounts that's coming his way. And then the next one is a car dealership where a woman in the pool is clapping her thighs together, and a woman who's trying to sell you a Jeep Grand Cherokee gets splashed by water. I don't understand the logic there, but that seems like a Kyle thing. See, this is why I said on the other side of the internet, there's a belief system and things that are happening that I'm never going to see. So I'm glad that somebody's doing this research, bro.
This new marketing style has taken over the internet, Tone, and it really is
the jump cut.
The jump cut that has birthed on TikTok, right? TikTok really birthed the culture of like, I forgot what it's called, but essentially you take a little bit of someone else's video and then you add to it. Mm-hmm. This jump cut has been crazy advertising. So when you see me jump cut, just know where it came from.
Okay.
There's only good that happened this week because everything else was extremely ugly. Now, I'm just trying to make my way through to really see how we want to do this. Let's start with the rock, paper, scissors challenge, Tone. Now, when I say rock, paper, scissors challenge, what comes to mind for you?
A game used to decide many a trivial dispute sometimes.
Now, what if I tell you couples were doing a challenge in which they rock, paper, scissors, and shoot it over a tray of food, and essentially whoever won would then get to eat the food while the other person had to run a distance, like touch a tree and come back. And this would go on until you finish the meal over time, and this has been repeated. Now, just laying eyes to this, Tone, give me first impressions.
This seems like a good way to end a relationship. This just sounds like a very strong way to test. Take your relationship into the deep waters and then successfully drown it. This is what this is looking like right here.
Historically, one could argue that food in a relationship is a very touchy subject, especially if you have partners that don't have the same eating styles or beliefs, let alone sharing styles, like don't eat off of my plate or I'm overly willing to share. There's a lot of turmoil that has happened over food, and we now mix that with a game of rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Yeah, anytime you start to add the element of the game being like, oh, it's a competition inside here, competition plus relationship plus food, this seems like disaster. It's dead on arrival, Kyle.
Now, again, the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I too think about the science of it. Now, the science is, fam, I'm biting this fast food and then immediately going into a run. I can't call that a sprint because a lot of these folks aren't sprinting.
They don't look like the sprint type.
But you're jogging back and then eating and chewing. Like, that just seems crazy. You know how when you had to go to the pool, like if you ate, you had to wait 30 minutes before you got in the pool? That was so your body could digest properly.
So let's just be clear about something. This is not a fitness challenge by any means.
I mean, hey.
It's not.
There's movement that's taking place that some might call exercise.
This ain't a fitness challenge. Let's just be honest about what this is. This is a food challenge that has some sprinklings of body movement happening in there, right? I don't see the point in it, but look, shout out to everybody that wants to get their relationship goals out by, dunking some KFC and doing a lap, coming back with your shorty.
All right. Sliding out of that. We're going to get into some more ugly. I thought that was ugly enough, but I think this one might reach home a little bit.
Now, I don't know. I'm still thinking about how shorty tried to sell me a Jeep Grand Cherokee with thigh clap. That was
with the splash.
Disgusting.
Marketing.
I was like,
101.
You can't get no uglier than that.
Now, I think we can top that with this next story. There has been a rise in dreadlock theft. In Africa.
I'm not doing this.
Right? Now,
this is a Babylon lie. We're not believing him.
The way that this picture was painted, 7 inches or longer. If your hair is 7 inches or longer, it's been going for over $300 per pack, right? Mm-hmm. So to speak. And there's been a wave of people falling asleep on public transportation and folks cutting their hair and stealing it because the faux locks aren't giving what they're supposed to give, and real hair is so sought after. It takes years to grow, and people want that real hair for their locks.
I'm so torn by this story.
It takes place in Africa. This has been a huge problem in which people with locks have been scared to go outside and visibly show their hair, be at the risk of somebody cutting it.
Right. So this is why I'm torn about this story, because some part of me as an African American has seen the whole history of dreadlocks go back and forth to where the dread part of it actually was something that wasn't coveted. It was something to be discouraged. It was something to be, downtrodden and everything else, to To see it be celebrated to the point where somebody would actually steal it off your head is a full 180 degree turn in the opposite direction. I do appreciate some aspects that, hey, people see value in us. And at the same time, this ain't the African-American problem. This is an African-specific problem. So if you're the originator of the lock culture, I got to understand how the hell it gets so desperate. The faux locks is into this position that people are shaving you.
Blamed it on a lot of people of status, a lot of celebrities growing their hair, and it has been leaving an impression on the youth to make them want to grow their hair. And that process is a lengthy process. It takes years for your hair to actually reach the length that most people want it. So in order to combat that, they've been skipping steps in that line and stealing other people's hair and putting it in their body.
Yeah, this is a very specific crime. I think that, this hair texture is not going to be the kind that you can fly out to Turkey to get. So this is why people is getting a little jammed up. You're not going to be able to do this in too many other countries. So it's a small crop that this is really impacting the hardest way. Somehow, I still see this as kind of related to the Dwayne Johnson problem on the inverse. You got people with no locks wanting to get locks.
Moment right there.
You got bald head man telling you shampoo, up is down, left is right. This whole world is going to hell.
That's what we are. I mean, protect your neck is what I'll leave the people with.
Yeah,
and
your scalp, your forehead,
your crown, all the above, because somebody will steal your shit. I guess we're going to slide out of that, brother.
Yeah.
We're going to get into a little Raising the Bar segment this week.
Okay, my friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners from all type, from near and far, you're now in store to raise your bar. Now, Brother Tone.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to start today's Raising the Bar segment with this sentence of, there's a huge difference between being certified and being qualified to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's just have a brief conversation about certifications, right? Getting certified to do something. How many certifications do you have?
I don't know. Current ones? None. But how many have I done
when you was
in
really,
life?
You was really loading them up. Like, just paint the picture of that process.
If there was a certification that you could have as a professional licensed trainer, I had every one of those. Because just coming out of college, I took every one of those governing body tests. So that kind of just made me mandated all of those certifications that was needed when it was, again, mandatory for you to have those at high level coaching.
For sure. I mean, just to add a little more texture to it, once you become a certified personal trainer or you have a degree, there's like the CSCS, like the Certified Strength and Conditioning Coach exam. That's pretty intense. I would compare it to passing the bar as a lawyer. Like, it does require some schooling.
I was on the path that if we actually called it to make it comparative to the medical field, it would be like sports nursing. Yeah. So you have to take all of these different things to be like a phlebotomist. You could be a nurse, but you're not going to necessarily be able to give somebody an IV, right? There's a certification specifically for that. Very similar to doing triage on field. Like an athletic trainer can do different things than a regular personal trainer could and should be able to do. So if you're going through corrective exercise, if you're going through sports performance, if you're doing all of the different nuances, right, there's a different level of certification that comes along with each one of those things. And typically, if you're trying to work for a big organization, they want you to have damn near all of them.
I'm glad that you laid that out because it really paints the picture of taking the time out of regularly scheduled programming to learn this skill. Right? Like, you have to be engulfed in whatever the program is for that in order to have that knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And to then, have a certificate, something to prove that, hey, I went through this schooling. And especially if you had to pay for it out of pocket, like, that's admirable. Yeah. At best, right? But that is a huge misconception that doesn't necessarily mean you're qualified to do something, right? Because when we really get into the qualifications of something, you get into the experience, the tenure, you get into skin in the game. I got certified to do this thing. I've been doing this for a decade plus. I've kept my knowledge abreast with whatever continuing certification credits, if you will. I've taught, I've traveled abroad. I've met with other professionals about this thing. My qualifications for this are exceeding my certification at this point because I have put the skin in the game, as I said. Now, there is this world that we live in. I always refer to the microwave because everything heat up so quick and nobody knows when it happened, right? But there's this illusion, this blanket over us of the time it actually takes to be qualified to perform a task. I would say this comes to mind when I think about like just the lack of respect for people's effort into learning a skill, right? You often see someone do something and be like, oh, I can do that, and not take into consideration how long they've been doing this, what their practices look like to get them to this point. I'm thinking about a way this manifests in a more tangible way, like bad example, but think about like the Cam Newton fight with those kids, right? Like it was adults.
He was fighting adults. I was like, don't put that on Cam.
He was fighting adults that worked
used to
with
work for him
in a camp, right? Because there was a lack of respect for the craft of like, fam, if there is a former, I'm not going to say he's Hall of Fame because we don't know that yet, but a former player that really put numbers up on the board is here to help kids and to mentor them. And if I don't think that he's as good as he is, I'm going to challenge him. Like that challenging spirit is spilling heavily into people that are newly certified into things and not necessarily qualified into them. So as I lay all that out, Brother Tone, I'm here to talk to you about the difference between the two in your eyes and how is this showing up in the wellness world for you?
I think the biggest difference for me is application. So certification, honestly, in my view of it today, just means that you have permission from whatever the governing body is. So you passed the test, and whoever you gave the money to learn all of that stuff said that you
got it.
Gotten a sufficient amount of information. You've had access to a sufficient amount of information, and you can do a sufficient amount of recall, right? Yes. By and large, though, that does not mean that you have a tangible grasp of what the application of those skills are, right? Because often when you're tested on something, you don't have a practical component to it. It is, let me test your memory. Let me see, we taught you this verbatim. Can you repeat that verbatim to me?
Can you remember this sentence?
Yeah.
When we say it this way.
Right. And then there's a big difference between studying how somebody moves and being on the field with somebody that's moving, right? Yes. So that is where I think the application component has to come into play, and that's where qualification would be, the rounding out of that idea. And I think there are, we use them kind of as misnomers, one meaning the other, in a lot of different instances. But ultimately, at the end of the day, in light, it's going to show whether or not you're supposed to be in the places that you think you should. You can have you could be the smartest of smart trainers. I think people get caught up in being committed to the cult of being smart. It doesn't even have to be just about training. You could be the person who is learned in whatever the subject matter is, subject matter expert. You could be a domain expert in this one area. And then as soon as you have to go and apply that into something that might be abstract and it takes imagination or a different level of recall to actually put the rubber to the road, so to speak, and take that theory and turn it into actual action. Some of those people who are just great at taking tests can't show you any result on the opposite end. So what makes you qualified, right? And if you never take the time or take the energy and take the opportunity to actually put into action some of the stuff that you know, what exactly are you holding over anybody else that doesn't have that certification? What are you touting as being the real, the real versus the fake?
I mean, these are all very serious questions that I think need to aid into whatever your definition is of qualifications, right? Because oftentimes I think about the jobs, the resumes, right? Like anytime you get newly certified in something you want to, the job often requires you to have X amount of years in this field.
Yeah.
5 to 7 years of this kind of work, a degree in this, whatever the case may be. And that seems to be the way into a lot of things. I'm curious about your thought on transferable skills, right? Like if you have a discipline in one thing, let's say your discipline, for your point, you studied computer technology, and then you took that into the wellness world and started understanding the way humans compute it, right? Like, do you think there's a world in which I can transfer disciplines and still have, a meaningful career, if you will, without having to go the full route of schooling?
It depends on who you mean in the eyes of, like, who is it meaningful to, right? So, like, who are you talking about meaningful? So, to me, very specific to my set of circumstances, taking an idea and looking at it as the abstract is something that I think is transferable, because if you know the path, you could see it in all things. So for the human body compared to how computers work, I think there's no one-to-one in most people's minds, because that's not a common way to look at that. But if I'm looking at it, as I would put it, as this big if-else statement in a very specific parameter where I'm looking at, okay, there's only 2 outcomes for this muscle group, and there's only 2 outcomes for this list of program prompts that I want to do, there can be some carryover in the type of brain that would look to make that relationship to solving a different type of problem. That's in my opinion, in my mind. Now, is it valuable for me to tell somebody else who has none of that context why I know that this is making sense? It can be, or it cannot be, but is it valuable to me? I think it's a skill set. And if you could start to cultivate your whatever type of life journey that you're doing around picking up skill sets, you're learning stuff, but can you transfer the skill set into different arenas? Now, I suppose that you can. It just also has to come with the understanding that most people, or some people, might not see the value that you see when you're bringing that there. So the task, the qualification is going to be whatever you see value in, you have to take the perspective of somebody doesn't know all the connections that I'm making right now. And I have to be better at either educating or motivating you with why I know that this is making sense in order for you to see the value in that, right? Because everybody, by and large, people only care about the shit that they care about that's in their orbit. If you don't understand how somebody can go from seeing a muralist job to leading a class to hearing and producing a great playlist to being able to ride and being able to just exist on a vibe that people want to emulate, not everybody's going to understand why those dots completely make sense to you, because they are all in your orbit. So you have 24/7, 365 perspective on that. And anybody that's outside of that might see a piece of it and think that's the whole story, right? So the better you are able to really lock in on how you have to be the person to take charge of, I'm going to make you see this as valuable, I think you get the result that you want.
Couldn't have said it better myself, man. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I feel like from there, we can only two-step, we can tango, we got to do whatever we need to do to hold that thought.
And we're going to relax responsibly. But this Relax Responsibly segment, Kyle, is going to be brought to you in part by the On The Move bag by Off The Strength, Kyle. Now, did you know, Brother Jones, that the On The Move bag by Off The Strength is the only cycling crossbody bag that you can also wear as a fanny pack, that you can also get your suspension training workouts with? There's none other on the market, Kyle.
You don't say, Tony.
I'm trying to let you know, in fashionable style, you can get a full body workout. Something that's going to make you feel better. If you feel better, you're going to bike better. And when you bike better, you're going to move better with the On The Move bag by Off The Strength, Brother Jones.
Now, I'm looking at this colorway. It is camo. I see the On The Move on the front. I love the orange notes in there. I'm curious, is there another colorway available?
There is. There's going to be the OG colorway. There's going to be the black and red, much like the colorway that you see on the cover art of this very podcast. That's right. The On The Move bag by Off The Strength coming to you very soon. Now, Brother Jones,
what's the word?
Talk to the good people out there about how you were relaxing responsibly this week, my man.
Man, I'm going to dive into it head first. Now, there's oftentimes, especially in the wellness industry, if you teach on the regular, I will even say this extends to like Brother Hassan, like spinning on the ones and twos. If you do something and provide a service for people, it's very rare that you get to experience the other side of that, right? Like you get to go to the party and hear the music, or I get to be in a class while someone else is teaching, like to really be a student in the situation.
Okay.
Faithful listeners of the show and those that follow me on IG, that's KO Jones, you might want to do that. But I posted early in the week about a yoga class and a space in a yoga class. And I asked the community to go ahead and tag me in it. It was one of those contests where it was like, yo, we need men in this class. Tag your favorite man, yoga person, if you will. And I was like, bet, I'll do that. Fast forward to actually being in the space. Not only is the space beautiful, it is, sun shining in, floor to ceiling windows up high. You get to see the city nice and bright. And it was the thick glass, the glass with like the prisms and the rainbows come through. Not that little flimsy stuff in your house that, you know what I'm saying, that be blowing flies in. I'm talking real bulletproof stuff. Nonetheless, I'm in this class, I'm in this space, and the instructor of the class was an instructor that helped start my yoga journey.
Okay.
So I'm talking 2011, 2012 is when I like really got into yoga heavily. And she was one of the first people that was of color teaching a class that was vastly different than anything else I've experienced at that moment. So it was a full circle moment. We talking over a decade later, I'm back in this woman's class, and man, it felt amazing to just be in space, in a familiar space, right? Like, this is a person that I've seen grown over the years. Like, she's a mom now, or I haven't seen her, regularly, but like can physically see like, wow, you were not the person that I met years ago, but somehow you're still doing the same thing. And it was a joyous occasion to be able to hold space. And she opened the class with a little R&R, Tony. Now, when I say R&R, what comes to mind?
Relaxing responsibly. That's the segment that we're in, and that's what we're going to stick with.
Bingo, right there. Brought to you in part by Off the Strength and this On the Move Back. But I'm not talking about that R&R, Tony. I am talking about release and receiving.
Okay.
And we had a moment where she just opened up the room to anybody that wanted to share anything that they were releasing or anything that they wished to receive before we began this practice. And it was one of those things where we talked about providing space earlier, right? Like, if you want to hold a space, you have to cater to people, right? Bam, I got some hip adjustments, you know what I'm saying? She put the essential oil on, gave me the little wipe down, the Simba after class, you know what I'm talking about? I was restored and renewed at the end of it. And that was how I want to end my relaxation responsibly, right there.
Okay. It sounds like it was affirming.
It was affirming. It was joyous. It was full circle. It was evolution on a lot of levels.
And I appreciate that and want to challenge you to receive, much like she was giving in that direction, all of the benefits from connecting those dots that you do in some way throughout that story, but we got to get rid of that ambiguity so people know exactly that full story. And you use all of the Jones talents.
You know what I mean?
There was a lot of, hey, this is this place and that place and this thing. If you know, we got to get all of that stuff, Kyle, to come to the forefront. And I will tell you, the only reason why I want to challenge you to do that is because you will be the supreme benefactor of making everybody else be able to follow your story without having to do any guesswork. That's what I wish for you. Receive it. And you will make it so that the coalition of the willing can show up and follow you and give you everything that you need in your organic thug space, my man. That's what I want to see for you, my brother. Now, how I was relaxing this week.
Okay.
I took my talents out to the waterfront, Kyle.
Okay.
And I definitely
sitting on the dock of the bay?
Watching the clouds.
Watching the tides.
Roll away, all of that stuff.
Ooh.
I was out there, realistically spending some time in the park and just doing, any kind of work, taking some emails, doing some calls and stuff like that, but then having intentional moments where I just wanted to be present and just wanted to be around the sounds and the energy of not the city, but what's going on in the park. A little bit more tranquil, a little bit more, restorative on my own side, hearing some of those waters crash and hearing some of the just wildlife that's around you, really taking full advantage of the neighborhood that I'm in the park that's adjoining where I'm at. It was something that was very restful because I was at home kind of, but also just diving into the wildlife that's coming in with this new spring, man. So that's how I was relaxing.
Sounds beautiful, man.
Yeah, man. It was real tranquil. You got all of the flowers coming in. You got the birds making noise.
How many people did you scare?
I ain't scared not a damn person,
you
man.
Sure? Nobody...
Nah.
How many women clutch their purse as they walk past?
I'm a neighborhood staple. First of all, I've been down there for 15 years, so I clutch my purse when I'm walking past. There's all these new people coming out here. They got a bunch of questions they want to ask you.
People ask you for directions.
There's a bunch of people that want to be friends. There's a lot of that's not the energy that I get.
Hey,
I get like, what are you doing? Where are you going? How can I come with? And I was like, no, leave me alone. I see something. I'm saying something. I'm the one that's blowing the whistle. That's how it's happening in my neighborhood. It's like, you don't belong here. Stranger danger. That's how I feel.
You don't belong here. It's crazy.
I've been here for long enough.
You don't have any business over here.
That's how I feel. It's like, nope, don't be asking me. It's like, you got to take some other side when you're making people move into the neighborhood that they move into. It's like, nah, not you. You just stand back and appreciate.
I just asked, there's some things that I've experienced over the years in your neck of the woods,
Yeah.
So I was just curious.
I tell you, your energy might be making you bring on some of these things.
My energy is calm. For the record, extremely.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm hopeful that it does land in calm.
Are you hopeful for anything else, Tony?
I'm hopeful that along the way to calm, you do all the penance that you need to do.
10 Hail Marys.
And get all of that about that energy out of you so that you do embrace this calmness, man. But on some real, this week I'm coming in with my hopeful, man, specific to just some family issues that I'm going through. Without getting into too much on the detail side, I'm hopeful that I have a pleasant next couple of weeks with Mother's Day coming up and all of the family time that's going to be getting together. I'm hopeful that I can have a good amount of time, no matter how much time we have, with everybody that's around me.
It's beautiful, man. My hope is echoing that same sentiment, man. I'm definitely going home to check on the fam. There's been a death in the fam. So the funeral services is one of those things where it's always terrible that we all have to meet under those circumstances.
Yeah.
But it's always great to see family that you haven't seen in 10, 20 years, Like, I'm talking folks I haven't seen since I was like 10 years old. Fam, I am 32 years old.
Yeah.
Like, to be able to see each other and lay eyes on one another and reintroduce yourself to one another is a whole nother thing, man.
Yeah, I always feel good about the camaraderie, but obviously the heaviness is the thing that makes it questionable. And I also feel kind of weird about anybody that's addressing me as if I am still that 5-year-old or that 10-year-old.
Little Tony, what's up, baby?
It's like, I
remember you was at Oshkosh Gosh.
I got full adult problems. It's like, what you talking about?
You can never count past 3. You know what I'm saying? You still struggling with food?
It's like, fam, I made it way past the graham cracker age, bro. We gotta elevate our conversation.
You said that snot in your nose.
Right.
Every time.
We gotta get past that. We gotta address each other on a different plane right now.
How are you, sir?
Yeah, exactly.
What's up, bro?
It's like I got full life issues that I'm dealing with.
Nigga, you gonna help pay this rent?
Yeah.
All right.
Don't ask me about
That's
the bouncy.
Your Cadillac out there?
The bouncy house. We ain't talking about that no more.
Listen, man, shit is crazy. No, I get that. I told you, brief anecdote. One of the funerals I went to, an uncle of mine who came up to New York and started a new life, if you will. I had some family up here in New York that, when I met them, I was in my 20s. They were in their 40s with like a 15-year-old son. And they were like, hey, we your cousins. And I was like, no, y'all ain't. but cool. It's nice that we met here, but that relationship never continued. It's like I'm in the middle of y'all age and closer to y'all kids' age, but y'all kid is in a whole nother headphones in, don't want to talk to nobody's own. Like, fam, there's no way we're going to build on this.
It's just not going to go anywhere.
Realistically. But I appreciated meeting them in the moment.
We got to put together that collective families, like,
the Johnson family,
the big family,
the family reunion.
Yeah, we need a family reunion.
We don't have those no more.
That's what I'm saying. We got to get all families reunion. We need all hands on families reunion. Nobody has space.
That used to happen at somebody's house. Like, we all meeting at,
such and such house.
Uncle Chuck house.
Yeah, nah, that's not
Uncle
a thing
Chuck
no more.
ain't got a house no more. He
Yeah.
sold it to some other folk that, we ain't gonna get into gentrification and how that really presents its ugly head. So we're going to slide out of that, Brother Tone.
Man, you know what, Kyle? I don't think I have anything else that I want to give to the folks over here. I just want to let them know how they can reach out to us this week, Kyle. If they're looking to get with the good folks at Off the Strength Podcast, where can they find us?
You can visit us on Instagram at Off the Strength. Now, if you're in the greatest city in the world, That is New York City. You come on down to Rockefeller Center and you can see us live and recording in the block of the Rock at Newsstand Studios. If you can't make it, you can always visit on Instagram at Rockefeller Center or Twitter at Rock Center NYC.
That's right, folks. And of course, we are brought to you in part by the good brother Brian Perkins and I Did That Productions. Once again, it's been another fantastic episode of Off the Strength. I'm a trainer called Tony.
KR Jones.
Peace and much love to y'all out there. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
Peace.
What's good, everybody? I'm a trainer called Tony, and I am here from the infamous Off the Strength podcast, asking you today, listeners, viewers, wherever you may be, to please like, listen, and subscribe to our podcast. This is how we're going to continue to be able to deliver you the best goddamn wellness information out here. So if you want to keep hearing this and you want us to keep growing, you are a part of this show just as much as anything else. So please go to offthestrength.com. Make sure you check out our blogs. Make sure you check us out on IG. And if you're hearing this voice and you didn't hit that subscribe button, know that Kyle is going to come looking for you.
You got that right.